Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Happy Go Lucky with Asia. This episode, I'm actually going to be doing a reaction video to a new music video out by Bryson Gray. I believe it dropped about 5 days ago. This episode, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk a lot about Trump and Kamala and if they are the lesser of two evils. But first and foremost, I do want to react to this video because I listened to this song by Bryson. I want to say earlier today and like this morning. And I wasn't a huge fan of it. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of Bryson Gray's music. I'm not really big on hip hop, but if it's going to be hip hop, then I need you to kind of spit. I need you to know how to rhyme. You know, he's no Tom McDonald, he's no Tyson James, he's no Kill Will. I just think he could be better performer. I think with this new trap genre out, everybody thinks that they can be a rapper. And I kind of put Bryson in that category. Not to say that he doesn't have his moments, because he does. But the fact of the matter is, I'm not a huge fan of the style of trap music. And I believe Bryson Gray is in that style, if you will. Now, I disagree with what we're going to hear in this song. Like I said, I've listened to it before. I've never actually seen the music video. Personally, I do believe the quality of his music videos could be better. I think he's getting better over time. But really, I think when he's featured in other people's songs, like on Tyson James, when he's doing other things, even when he's doing something with like Burden, if you will, I think the quality is better simply because he's working with somebody else's equipment. But that's neither here nor there. This whole song is pretty much about whether or not, Trump or Kamala. Is anyone really worth my vote? He's really considering not voting for Donald Trump because of his stances on abortion and other policies. And obviously that's a big conversation up in the MAGA crowd and the America First crowd. Now, I have to say, as a Christian supremacist, I do take issue with some of the positions that Trump has taken. I'm not going to deny that. Like I said, I'm a Christian supremacist of America. And I don't believe that America should be involved in all of these wars that are happening across the globe. I don't believe that America should be advocating for the slaughter of Palestinians. Even if we could afford the conflict, we shouldn't be in it. I do believe we're in the time where we are to witness the downfall of Israel. And I'm not saying this because I hate Jews. I saw, on PBD, I want to say it was yesterday's episode. I don't really know his name. He's the guy that sits to the right of PBD. From our perspective, it's to the left of him. And he pretty much said that those of us who don't want to stand with Israel are pretty much hate Jews. And that's not the case. The fact is that Christians recognize the part of the book that we're in, and we're at the part of the book where Israel is supposed to be losing its allies in the world. It's supposed to have its downfall. And some way or another, there will be a new covenant that is offered to the Jewish people, and it will be up to them to accept it or not. There was already a new covenant offered, and that was the covenant when Jesus Christ was brought into the world, and they rejected it. They did. But that's neither here nor there. Today's episode is not about that. It is about reacting to Bryson Gray's new music video. So let's just go ahead and let's pull that up for you guys, ladies and gentlemen. I really don't agree with this song for a couple of reasons. Style reasons. I disagree with his take on this election, but I do want to know what you guys think. So let me go ahead and let's play this for you guys. Okay, here we go.
Hey, liberals mad at me, Republicans mad at me, MAGA mad at me. But I'm hated for his namesake. Stand on that. Hey, I pick God first, ain't switch up for no dollar. I don't care about these politicians, ain't voting Trump or Kamala. If you offended, then get mad, hit unfollow. If you pick votes over God, it's an honor. They say Bryson chill, you keep losing fans. They say Bryson dumb, he gon' miss his chance. That's what happens when you pick out over man. I ain't of this world, it's hard for them to understand. Hold on, hey, but Bryson, didn't you wear a MAGA hat? Yeah, I did. But then Trump, he switched up after that. He supported abortion up to...
Okay. So the fact is, ladies and gentlemen, I don't believe I'm a Christian supremacist, and I'm still voting for Donald Trump, right? Now, just because I'm voting for Donald Trump does not mean that I'm choosing Trump over God. I totally take offense to that characterization that if you're a Christian who votes Trump based on his record as a president and his policies, that you're choosing him over Christ. That's not true. I'm a Christian supremacist of America, ladies and gentlemen, and I am still choosing to vote for Donald Trump. Not for the reasons that I'm sure other people who support him are, but I'm voting for him out of bare necessity. He is good for America. He is. But just because you believe that, just because we're people who believe that Trump is good for America today, does not mean that you betrayed your covenant with Jesus Christ. Does not mean that you chose earthly things over the kingdom. It doesn't mean that at all. And I disagree with Bryson's characterization of that 100%. And in some shape, in some ways, I am offended by it too. I mean, he's pretty much saying that we're fake Christians when that's not the case. Let's finish it.
For 15 weeks, imagine that.
Let me rewind so you can hear that line.
But then Trump, he switched up after that. He supported abortion up to 15 weeks. Imagine that. 96% of abortion, that's where they happen at. Two wings, same bird. They maybe was right. Satan disguises himself as an angel of light. People sell their soul, but forget it came with a price. Y'all can do what's popular, but I'm staying with Christ. And you want his left.
So you heard what he just said. He pretty much said that Donald Trump switched up when it came to abortion policies. Now, I have to say this, ladies and gentlemen, in 2011, when when a lot of people on the Republican side were considering the idea of Trump running for office, they could see that he was even beating Mitt Romney at the time. But he was a guy who didn't really have a stance on abortion, right? He wasn't a pro-lifer. He never was. He was always moderate on it. He was a moderate. As long, don't be looking to kill a baby in the second, third trimester or even after birth, because that wasn't normal. And I think that Donald Trump has always been that way. The thing is that when he was running for office in 2016, we had the issue called Roe v. Wade. There was no point in him talking about abortion as often as people would have liked him to, simply because what would be the point of that? It's not like you could do anything about it with Roe v. Wade being the law of the land. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Now that it's over, now everybody's trying to put him in this corner of you got to be all the way pro-life. He was never that guy. He was always a moderate on abortion. He's saying it's okay up to 15 weeks because that's been normal up until they mainstreamed, second and third trimester abortions and late term and after birth abortions. I mean, that was abnormal. That was murder in his opinion. And so he did what he thought would be best to give pro-life the negotiating power by putting in the Supreme Court justices that he chose. And there's nothing wrong with this guy, with Trump saying that he's a moderate on the issue. Now, as a Christian supremacist, I disagree wholeheartedly. I am life all the way. I don't agree with the abortion pill. I don't agree with any abortion at any point. And I don't agree with the exceptions at all. But that was never Donald Trump. And I have to say it, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of you are probably going to be upset with me when I say it, but you were only disillusioned because you allowed yourself to be. The mainstream media, since Trump got into politics, told us all that this is who he was, that he was technically a moderate, that he was against everything the left was about, but the left was about everything that was insane. They were. And he was the guy that was advocating for normal. And that's why everybody loved him. And the reason why a lot of people are having issues with him right now is because normal is not what Bryson Gray wants. Normal is not what these so-called Nick Fuentes supporters of gropers or whatever the hell you pronounce, however the heck you pronounce them. They want a Christian America. I do too. But it's unlikely that it's going to happen from the federal government down. It is a state by state issue. So to get mad at Donald Trump for being who he always has been, because the public of America First and MAGA recognize that he is not the crusader for extreme Christian change. He's the guy that was going to bring us back to normal. We're not allowed to be mad that he is who he said he's been this entire time because we've realized the truth. You're not allowed to be mad at him because he's never lied to you. He's never switched up, as Bryson would like to put it. Let's hit play.
If you not playing it right, they gon' say I'm prideful because I'm not saying it nice. But I'm God's child, you know who you playing with, right? I thought you stood for the unborn, you faking it, right? I pick God first, ain't switch up for no dollar. I don't care about these politicians, ain't voting Trump and Kamala. If you offended, then get mad, hit unfollow. If you put votes over God, it's an honor. They say Bryson chill, you keep losing fans. They say Bryson dumb, he gon' miss his chance. That's what happens when you pick God over man. And I ain't of this world, it's hard for them to understand. Hold on, call me what you want, but don't say I'm a Democrat. Kamala pushing LGBT on kids, I ain't into that. She popping out with drag queens, where y'all ain't mention that. I thought we was supposed to defend the word. I'ma hit them where it hurt. And they quiet cause they got all these sissies in they church. They don't never mention abortion, so it's worse. But these priests are telling you to vote Kamala, that's your worst. The Bible says children are saying, they obvious. But y'all think good and evil is based on politics. Y'all be on the same side and don't acknowledge it. Cause Satan got an imaginary line dividing it. I pick God first, ain't switch up for no dollar. I don't care about these politicians, ain't voting Trump or Kamala. If you offended, then get mad, hit unfollow. If you put votes over God, it's an honor. They say Bryson chill, you keep losing fans. Dumb, he gon' miss his chance. That's what happens when you pick God over man. And I ain't of this world, it's hard for them to understand. Hold on.
All right, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. That's it. I mean, I can agree with him when it comes to the Kamala Harris. Why not vote for her? We're Christian. We can't vote for a woman who's running around here with men who think they're women. Can't vote for a person who believes that it's okay to sexualize children and take them away from their parents simply because the parents are against this kind of education. I mean, there's no way to vote for her. It's simply about the first verse where he's talking about Donald Trump. I never followed Bryson Gray, so this isn't a question of if I'm going to unfollow him because I disagree with him. I never followed him. If a song popped up in my YouTube feed, then it's like, okay, let me listen to it. Maybe if I liked it, I'll keep going. In this case, it's relevant to where we are in the election, and Bryson does have a pretty good following, and he's not wrong. You know, people are telling him that he's losing fans and he's going to miss his chance. Personally, his music isn't all that popular like Tyson James, if you will, where it is going to make any real difference, in my opinion, because I don't know how much money this man is making. He's probably, he could be doing well for himself in his music career. And maybe this song did hurt him. Maybe his advocating for not voting for Trump at all is hurting his numbers. Now I like his conviction to Jesus. I love his conviction. But for a man to say that, you know, people are weighing good and evil in politics, this is why I say to MAGA supporters and America First people who are pissed at Trump right now, him as if he's the lesser of two evils. And that's the problem there. You're looking for righteous change in your government, and you're not looking to put the work in on the people, because that's where the righteous change has to happen. All we can ask for from our federal government specifically is normal. Let the states do the rest of the work. Let the movements do the rest of the work. Let Jesus do the rest of the work. Your job is to keep America the nation, to keep America America, to keep it prosperous, to keep it safe, while the rest of us Christians can continue to spread the gospel across the country, can influence culture in the eyes of our King. Let us do that. But you won't be able to do that if Kamala gets in there. You won't be. You can best believe they're going to criminalize the gospel. We saw this happening under Biden. And even Republicans were willing to vote for this bill, where it would pretty much be anti-Semitic to quote the Bible. It would be anti-Semitic to point out the fact that Jews way back when, millennia ago, are partly responsible for the murdering of our Messiah, of our Savior. It would be criminal to do any of those things. It would be criminal for Christians to gather and to celebrate and to be in the glory of our King. It would be illegal to do any of those things under Biden and under Kamala. We have to look at another Trump presidency as a tool. How can we Christians utilize Donald Trump in the federal office? How can we use him? We got to stop thinking that our federal government is going to be this righteous sword. It's not supposed to be. It was not created for that. It was meant to do as little as possible. The rest is up to you, the people, we, the people. Our nation is this corrupt, and it is this secular, and it is this satanic because we let it be that way. And our politics, our politicians, and our policies reflect that sadistic culture. So how do we get policies to match our beliefs as Christian supremacists, ladies and gentlemen? It is to influence culture. You're not going to have a righteous America because Trump is in office or because any Republican we put in there is going to be that person. The crusader, ladies and gentlemen, is not the president of the United States. It's you. It's me. It's we, the people. You are affected mostly by the policies closest to you. So that's going to be local government, state government. Now, I am someone who believes that states should be exercising a little bit more authority than they have been. I've seen a little bit pushback from states to Biden, not allowing China to invest in their states. Texas is looking into creating their own currency. Florida rejected the CBDC. Abbott, did everything he was trying to do at the border with, even though it was going against Biden's administration. So I'm seeing some pushback from the states, but this affects me mostly a lot more because it's the policies closer to me. Not that the federal policies don't affect me at all, because they do, but imagine how little effect that the federal government could have on me if my governor and my local policies were about protecting me from that. And that is more possible with Trump in the White House. Why? Because during COVID, this is the same man that said, let the states do what they're going to do. If they want to stay open, let them stay open. If they want to shut down, let them shut down. I disagree with how he handled it. I do believe that he could have exercised a little bit more executive privilege, executive authority. He could have done those things to keep states open. But the fact of the matter is, he simply said, it's a federalist system. Do what you want to do as a state. You know what's best for your people. You're closer to them. You know what would be best for you. And I'm not going to get in the way. I'm going to provide the aid that you need if you ask me for it. But you are to do what you want. And so I want him to keep that same mentality moving forward. Kamala is not going to respect the states. If I want Texas to be more righteous, I'm going to involve myself. I'm going to get involved with churches. I'm going to sit down with individuals, try to spread the gospel the best I can. That's what I want to do. That's what I've been doing. I mean, I work at that. I work around people all the time. I can't give you the specific job because I don't want to get into trouble in that regard. But the fact of the matter is, I work with people who are struggling homeowners or people who are renting and need assistance in their homes. I provide that assistance. I talk with these individuals all the time. And when I talk to these clients, when I talk to these people, I try to share my happy-go-lucky. I try to share the gospel that isn't too much considering the environment that I am in. Can't be too vocal about my faith, but to some degree, you can just tell when someone is a Christian and when someone loves that you love Jesus Christ and you share that with them. And individuals who are struggling and they may say that they're Christian and are falling and just having a hard time believing it. I share the gospel, and my state doesn't criminalize that. I'm going to change my society by changing the hearts and minds of man in my society. I want more Christians in my state and in my country. And I want my policies to reflect that. But culture is why we are here. It's why we're here. It was academia that made millennials and Gen Zers believe men can be women and vice versa. It was entertainment media that sexualized generations. It was mainstream news media that propagated lies to us, that kept us voting for Democrats if you're a Black American or a person of color for decades. Culture did that. And now that we're grown, these are the policies. Culture is about psychology. Control the way a person thinks, control what the person does. There were always evil people in this country. There were always evil people in our government. But there was something standing in their way. Christians, Jesus. But they took over all the pillars of society, all the pillars of culture, academia, entertainment, news media, and now we have social media. These things influence the psyche of man. And they propagate and they push agenda on agenda after agenda. And this shapes the minds of a person because it is psychology. If I can get them to think how I want them to think, they will do what I want them to, they will do what I want them to do. And so for Bryson to simply say in this song that he's not going to vote for Donald Trump, that we're choosing votes over Jesus, that we're choosing Trump over Jesus. Nonsense. No, we're not. We're being practical. I'm a Christian supremacist of America, but I recognize the battle that I am in. I recognize it. Donald Trump cannot pass an abortion ban at the federal level. It ain't happening. It ain't. He can't do it. For one reason and one reason alone. Majority of Americans are moderate on this issue because we've lived with it for so long. It's normal. And what did I say at the beginning of this? Donald Trump is a moderate. He is a normal guy. His goal when he ran for office was to bring us from the left to the middle, back to normalcy, because the left took us so far away. But we as Christians in America, we're so fed up with what the left has done to our country for decades that we don't want normal anymore. And that's okay, because I don't want normal either. I want tradition. I want the federal government to ask my state for permission to do anything anymore. I want states to have their own money so they can control the money and have more leverage over the federal government. I want when the federal government wants to go to war, that they have to ask my state for its men. You can't just deploy them. You have to ask me first. If I want to pay for it, if I want to send my son, my brother, my father, my uncle, if you want them, you ask me first. If you want our money, you ask us first. That is tradition. That's how we did it. That's how we used to do it. That isn't normal. It's tradition. It's tradition. But you got to get back to the middle first. You got to get back to normal first, ladies and gentlemen. And Bryson Gray is pretty much saying that if you're someone who's okay with Trump bringing us back to normal first, that you've chosen him over Jesus. Wrong. Entirely wrong. You're allowed to be mad at Donald Trump because you're disillusioned. You're mad that Trump isn't this savior that you all thought he would be. He has always been a moderate. He's always been a moderate. And I was one of you. I'm not going to sit here and say that you were the only ones who thought that he was this crusader for extreme Christian righteous change. I used to think that he was too, until I really got to really understand what he was advocating for. And I realized, wait a minute, he's trying to bring us back to normal because we've been without normalcy for so long. That's not a bad thing, ladies and gentlemen. In fact, normal is a good place to start if you want to get to a righteous America. Think about it. The left could only get this far because we were in the middle. So now it's going to be extremely difficult and a long haul to get us from where we are today to where we want to be. We want a righteous Christian supremacist America. That's what we want. Well, you got to move the needle this way first. And he's the guy that's going to move it back this way. It'll probably be maybe the president after him, or maybe it won't be the federal government at all. Maybe it will be the states and the initiative and the drive of we the people. I'm not saying Bryson Gray isn't entitled to his own opinion, because he is. I totally disagree with what he's saying as it relates to Donald Trump. You're not choosing him over Jesus Christ because you believe that he's the first step into having that outcome of a righteous America. That's what I believe. Trump is the first step to a righteous America. He's not the end game. He's just the first step. And that's okay to say as a Christian supremacist. So all you who are considering not voting for him or listening to Bryson or Nick Fuentes, if you're part of this groper movement who's trying to hurt Trump's chances, just understand, if in November America makes history by electing the first woman of color as the president of the United States, and all the bad that we're in now gets worse, know that people like me can also lay the blame at your feet. Because for 3.5 years, I've been listening to Biden voters, all woe is me. And I've been saying, I told you so for the last 2 of those years. Because 1 year I gave them. I was silent. 1 year. After that, I told you so. Your gas prices are going high. You're inching closer and closer to World War III. Inflation is out of control. Groceries are pretty much expensive. Supply chain is having a hard time. I mean, there's so much wrong in this country. And I told you, and we told you, Biden voters, that it would happen. Know that when bad gets worse under Kamala, the voters who said that they're no longer voting for Donald Trump, Bryson, I can lay the blame at your feet. You can kiss all of your fans goodbye at that point, because you would have influenced your voters to not your following to not vote for him, simply because you're telling them that they are against Jesus if they vote for Donald Trump. No, they're being a realist. They recognize that certain righteous policies that we want will not happen at the federal level, and that's not why we should be voting for Trump. You're voting for him out of necessity. You want your state to have more authority. You need him in the office because he'll respect the state's authority. He won't be looking for a conflict with the state the way Biden and Kamala are. We're looking at him to be in the office because he's going to do what he said he was going to do at the border. As it relates to abortion, this is a policy that we've lived under Roe v. Wade for decades. America has lived with it for decades. And so the majority of America today are moderates on that issue. It's going to take the same amount of time to pass a ban on abortion that it did to undo Roe v. Wade. We're in it for the long haul. And we're young. Bryson is probably in his either late 20s or early 30s. We're the next Phyllis Schlafly generation, ladies and gentlemen. It is up to us to influence culture, to change the minds of Americans. Because when Roe v. Wade was passed, majority of Americans were not for abortion. Roe v. Wade was passed, and we were forced to accept it because it happened at the Supreme Court. And then generation after generation were raised with that, coupled with some other bad policies, and now they want abortion. So you have to do the exact same thing that they did, with the exception of the federal level. You do it at a state-by-state basis. You change hearts and minds by sharing the gospel in your music, in your entertainment. Every news media that we release as new media come from a Christian perspective. Academia, you bring Jesus back into those schools, or you homeschool your kids and you start with Christianity. Get God back into the mainstream culture of America. And I guarantee you, in 20 years, if it takes that long, give it 20 years of Jesus being popular in American culture, and abortion will be done away with. In 20 years. No one will want it. But you need Trump to swing the pendulum back to this. You're not going to get the righteous America that we want if he's not in office come November. If he's not elected in November and takes it in January of 2025. That's my time, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for watching this episode. I hope you enjoyed the reaction to Bryson Gray's Trump or Kamala video. Again, my name is Asia Branch, and I'm your host of Happy Go Lucky with Asia. Let me know what you think. I want to know, are you guys considering not voting for Donald Trump anymore because you're upset with him on abortion when it comes to Israel, supporting Israel? Are you upset with him about the green card thing? Are you like Nick Fuentes and his Groper group? I'm pretty sure if you're watching the show, you're pretty much not a Kamala fan. But if you are a Kamala fan, tell me why you're voting for Kamala. If you're someone like me who is a Christian supremacist and who disagrees with Trump on his issues with the green cards Israel and abortion, but still voting for him for other reasons. Let me know that. Drop it in the comment section. Make sure you like and subscribe to Happy Go Lucky with Asia. Follow me on X at Asia Branch USA. God bless you all and enjoy the rest of your night. Have a good one. God bless.